everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Welcome to the April 2026 Lake George Board of Education meeting. We are all present except for Janine Bieber, couldn't be with us tonight. We're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able to stand, please join us. Please join us anyway, but if you're able to stand, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will start with our reports, and our first report this evening is the undistributed budget and revenues presentation with our business official, Bonnie Harp.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight I'm going to present, this is our third budget presentation, so I'm going to present the undistributed part of the budget, the revenues, and then the overall budget as a whole, which you will be voting on later in the agenda. The undistributed budget is specifically employee benefits as well as interfund transfers to additional funds such as capital, debt service, and our cafeteria fund, as well as ESY, Extended School Year Fund. Under employee benefits covers health insurance, all types of insurance, workman's compensation, disability. The last several years, we've seen huge increases in health insurance premiums. While there was still an increase in that health insurance premium with the consortium, it was much more modest than what we've seen the last few years, and they have closed the gap of the deficiency there, so that was good news. So overall, the increase, we're looking at a very slight increase in employee benefits. A lot of that is just due to the state releasing the ERS, TRS figures, as well as the slight increase of health insurance. Interfund transfers is a large increase. This is continuation from the last several month presentations where we are incorporating the pilot payments into our capital outlay. So instead of a $100,000 traditional capital outlay, we're going to be doing a $250,000. So that is the bulk of that increase. As well as our special aid fund, that is a 20% cost to us. The state reimbursed you 80% for extended school year services for students that need them. And that has gone up as well. Just the program costs have gone up. Overall, we're looking at a 2.64% increase in the undistributed budget. Again, that's including the additional $150,000 into the capital outlay to offset that negative impact of the pilot payments. Overall, we're looking at a tax cap summary. In the gray, the shaded gray, is what we are allowed to do using the state formula. And the blue is where I am recommending the district come in for the budget. We were allowed, the allowable tax cap was 3.66%, or just over 823,000. I'm recommending us to come below the allowable tax cap at 3.29%, which still gives us $740,000 of the tax levy dollar increase, but 83,000 below. I feel this, even though it is quite considerably below the allowable, I did look at all of the requests at budget time, all of our mandates, all of our anticipated numbers that we have in all our different programs, and felt this was definitely suffice to not have any impact in any program. When we look at what does this do to my tax bill, this table on the left side are the 4 towns that make up the Lake George School District: Bolton, Fort Anne, Lake George, and Queensbury. The blue figures in the middle column are the current tax rates per thousand. So in Lake George School District, if you live in the town of Bolton, but the Lake George School District, the tax rate is $6.50 per thousand. In Fort Anne, it's $4.47. cents per thousand. Lake George is the same as Bolton. And Queensbury is $4 and roughly 97 cents per thousand of assessed value. This is based on last year's assessed values and the state released equalization rates. So in the red below the blue, I did comparable tax rates for that same town in that school district. So in the town of Bolton, a home in the town of Bolton that is in the Bolton School District, a comparable tax rate is $5 per thousand. Fort Ann, a home in the town of Fort Ann, but in the Fort Ann School District, comparable would be $8.90. And if we jump to Queensbury, this is the big one. In Lake George School District, that home is $4.97 per thousand. A home in Queensbury town in the Queensbury School District, the same home is $13.57 per thousand of assessed value. So you can see we still have a very low school tax rate, comparably speaking. Looking at a $500,000 assessed home, what would the additional tax be to the taxpayer? Again, assuming the same equalization rate and the same assessment, would be anywhere from $73 up to $108 per overall the year. And again, not taking into any star exemption or exclusions there. Our revenue, the bulk of our revenue comes from the local taxpayer, the property taxes. So that is the 3.29% increase. Our pilot payments, this is based on our existing pilots. However, there is one that you are approving tonight as well. Being recommended. Other revenue did decline a little bit dollar-wise. That is most of the time interest, and we are seeing interest rates dip, and we certainly don't want to over budget revenue for something that is not guaranteed or known at this time for the next year. State aid stayed relatively flat. Our foundation aid increased 1%, but all of our expense aid and the other aids did decrease slightly. And then utilizing the appropriate fund balance and reserves, working with our internal auditor, that is a figure he felt safe with. The less, if you could make it a little lower, they'd like to see that, but that is definitely a good figure he said we could go with. So budget to budget and expenses as well as revenue is very consistent each year at 2.59%. And that is your pie chart. You could see the bulk of the revenue is coming 87% from our property taxes, with just over 9% from state aid. Then when we put the overall budget together, again, it's a 2.59. Revenue and expenses should match. So 2.59% budget to budget. The bulk of the money is non-instructional, putting money into facilities. Now understand, putting it into buildings, grounds, facilities, transportation, there may be some areas such as cafeteria equipment. So yes, it's the cafeteria, but it's still considered facilities and maintenance and plant. Instructional is just a very slight decrease. The undistributed figures are, the bulk of that again is the interfund transfer for capital. And you could see the pie chart here for the three components. This is very consistent year to year. Instructional programming makes up the bulk of it, usually just shy 50% of the overall budget. Future meetings, we are looking at a public hearing, which will take everything that is required to have and the last three presentations, put it together, and then the vote will be on May 19th. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Bonnie, thank you so much for this and the last few months of presentations, and for the years of work that go into the yearly budget, because I'm fortunate to sit on the Audit and Finance Committee and get to see the work that is looking back historically, looking years in advance for how decisions today impact years in advance, and what are our current needs, and really putting students first and making sure that our programming stays intact. And so I really appreciate the work and your presentation, so thank you.
Any other questions?
So the next item on the agenda is the elementary update with Mr. Jim Conway, the principal. And Jim, before you get started, I just want to extend a hearty congratulations to you for being named the 2026 New York State Elementary School Principal of the Year. Well deserved. I want to thank you for your outstanding leadership. It's made a big difference in our district. Your focus has always been on the whole child, academically, socially, emotionally, and part of your legacy is cultivating the next generation of leaders. Lake George Elementary School students have grown up in a culture of kindness and a culture of having a voice for themselves and for other people. And the Leader in Me framework gives inclusive opportunities for all students to thrive as leaders in many ways. Some are very obvious and some are a little more subtle and quiet. Just as importantly, our students know that speaking up matters and makes a difference. So thank you for your genuine care and dedication. The educators and students who have benefited from your work will continue to be proactive, sharpen the saw, and everything in between to help make the world a better place. So thank you, Jim, from the bottom of our hearts for all that you have done for the school. And we are so proud of you in receiving this award and representing Lake George so well. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. I don't want to give a speech on that, but I am going to say that certainly the success we have is due to our staff, the success that I have, the staff, our students, our families, people that I work with. So it's I'm wise enough and definitely old enough to realize that. So thank you, though. I appreciate the kind words. I do want to start off by noting I shared that we were going to have a STEM night. It was amazing. Credit to our teachers, our action team. Alex Poach, one of our fourth grade teachers, leads that action team. We had half of our student body at that event. That does not happen places. So our teachers got our students energized for that. Again, Alex and her team did a great job planning for it. We had the BOCES STEAM bus on our campus for 2 days, so the kids had great opportunities that they got to experience in addition to that night. But when you talk about indicators, that participation is one that I'm really proud of. And again, great job by our staff making that happen. Saga City, I'm sure that Mr. Kokoza will get through his cold and speak a little bit about the Saga City visit. We just were able to have a small slice of that visit, a very small slice, all things considered. But our staff did a really great job with our students, welcoming all of the students from Saga and their chaperones. And I know that our kids gained and benefited by that experience as well, but it was wonderful. Just a few upcoming events to share. Next week, and I know this week, Fran has students that are taking the New York State ELA. I always give you those dates for those tests. It's something that I always share. Our teachers have our students very well prepared. It's not something that they are not prepared for. They don't see things that they haven't seen before. So we kind of move forward with that, and we don't make it a super big deal at LGS. Roundup time, that's always a really fun time for us, is coming up soon, April 27th. We have our pre-K students who will be coming in for Roundup, and then on the 28th and 29th, our kindergarten students. I love that we get to meet our new families, our new students. I also love that our students are the ones that are taking our families and those students around and sharing their school. So we have sixth graders who are excited to give those tours to those families. But Also excited about those kindergarten numbers coming back up a little bit, which is great. May 4th, we have a long-standing connection with Caldwell Preschool. It's been something that we've done for years, and Mr. Luthringer has helped to continue to foster that as we moved into having a pre-K of our own. Their numbers have remained very strong, and those 3- and 4-year-old students are going to be visiting us on May 4th. Our kindergarten and pre-K teachers will be hosting those classrooms. They also travel to our specials, so they'll go into the gym and do some different activities. Mrs. Crossman does some things, and Mr. S does some things in music class as well. So they get a full half-day visit to the school, and they get excited about coming to LGS. And then just finally, we have a number of teachers whose tenure is going to be voted on tonight. And it's an amazing group of educators, as I was able to share with you already, but they are doing great things for our students at LGS. And that's my report tonight. Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the secondary update with Mr. Frank Gakoza, our secondary principal.
I'm going to have Megan join me. And if you could give everyone, I'm going to have Megan Coker join me. I'm not sick. I don't get sick. Good luck to whoever touches this microphone afterward. So Libby and Annie are going to cover the high school goings-on, including Saga and all the exciting stuff we've been talking about. We're going to get in the weeds a little bit, Megan and I, in regards to the master schedule. Yeah, you don't want to touch this microphone. And in the audience is also Jen DeLolio, our school counselor, and Steve Preuss, our senior high school counselor. Not putting them on the spot, but they were instrumental in the development of this schedule. So where we're at right now, just kind of a snapshot. I've tried to keep the board apprised as to the progress of our development of our bell schedule. Back in the late spring, we started to do some research, forming a committee. Megan has been instrumental in gathering research and data, connecting with other schools, and just seeing what else is out there. We spent the summer going a little deeper into what are our options, what would be a good fit, what are some things we want to consider as we look at a new master schedule, and then we hit the ground running in the fall. Concurrently, our shared decision-making body, Forum, which includes students and parents and the wider school, has been involved at every pass, along with our master schedule committee, which at one point,
about 25.
about 25 individuals from the school were on that committee. We landed on this proposed bell schedule. So a couple of things I want to make of note, and then we'll turn it over for any questions that you might have. First off, tomorrow I'm going to be presenting to the wider student body through student council, because there's a lot of concerns and questions and wonders around this. After that, after we finally settle on a final product, then we're going to go beyond these walls with our parents and start to talk with our parent community as to the implications to them with this bell schedule. So in a nutshell, other than Rosemary and not getting too technical, but this is a block schedule. There are 6 blocks of 53-minute classes, and it rotates over an 8-day time frame. And I'll have Megan explain that.
So something that we've been trying to train ourselves in is the language we're using. So as Fran just said, there are 6 blocks, but there are still 8 classes. And so that's why there is an 8-day schedule. Classes will sort of rotate through these blocks, and you can see that they're color-coded on here. Blocks 1 through 3 are pink, and 4 through 6 are orange. So there's 4 classes that will rotate through those first 3 blocks. And then there's a second group of 4 classes that will rotate through the afternoon blocks. So on any given day, there are 2 classes that students won't be attending on that day. And that's where the 8-day schedule comes into play.
So one of the considerations we had is instructional time. We wanted to make sure that we weren't going backwards. And that's why we landed on 53 minutes, because with this 8-day schedule, and where we're currently at with instructional time, we feel this is the best way to get in what we want to get in a daily schedule without compromising instructional time. Second thing is there are a lot of constraints. So one of the unique things about our district next year, an unanticipated surprise, is that our bus garage is moving 2 miles to the other side of the district. And for eons, the way the cadence of the district worked, it worked for the elementary school students to get dropped off first, and then the high school students in the morning to get dropped off second, because the bus garage is right here. Well, now with the bus garage moving, it doesn't make sense to do that anymore, especially in the morning. Because if you think about the cadence of a drop-off and pickup, it just makes sense for the high school to have the drop-off first in the morning, followed by the elementary school, and then the buses just going back to the garage, which is on that side of the district, rather than having to circumnavigate the village more times than we need to. Second thing is that we really could not compromise is our end time. So right now we have one of the later end times of the instructional day at 2:35. So you might think, well, what's the problem with that? Well, many of our students, 90% of our students, are involved in sports. And when sports begin at 3:15, many of the athletic teams have to travel all over Washington and Saratoga County. So for example, today, our track meet had to get moved to 5 o'clock and then canceled because of the weather. Why? Because Granville couldn't get here until 5 o'clock. And as any athletic director can tell you, we don't want to be the ones delaying the start of meets or games or so on and so forth. There's other constraints with field trips and bus runs, and what we do here, 10th period, it's so important to preserve that. So we opted to move the day earlier in light of that bonus of the bus garage being moved. Some of the feedback that our students gave us very loudly and very clearly was that they wanted more passing time. So a few years ago, we cut down the passing time to 2 minutes. The students wanted an additional minute. So you'll see 3-minute passing time between each of the blocks. And you might not think that that's a big deal, but in a building our size, it's a big deal. Giving the students and staff an additional minute break to use the restrooms, to catch their breath, to go and grab something from wherever they need to grab. However, there's a cost for that. Every minute you take, you have to take from somewhere else. And there's only so many minutes in the day, as we have learned. The additional feedback very clearly that the student body has conveyed is that they did not want to start classes, and the teachers as well, prior to that 8 o'clock time frame. So one of the earlier proposals had us starting block 1, what was it, Megan, right at 7:50?
Yeah, we actually changed the guide room time to be combined with what you see as the flex time. So it was, the guide room would be later in the day, which would mean you'd start block 1 class right away.
So one of the tenets of our school for decades has been our guide room system. It was not something we were willing to compromise on. So we moved guide room, albeit earlier, to 7:50, while trying to hear the concerns of students and staff starting at 7:50, while giving them a little cushion, a little buffer, to start the day a little softer in guide room at 7:50 and not have class until 7:59. And then finally, and we can get into further details if you would like, there's contractual constraints built within this. So the teacher day currently is 7 hours and 25 minutes. We have to work within the confines of the teacher contract day without a complete overhaul to current and existing contract agreement between the district and the teachers. So in a nutshell, this is our proposed current schedule. There might be some tweaks and adjustments to it. We're still gathering feedback. John, Megan, and I are meeting with the Teachers Association at LGEA to continue to try to work through some challenges that this schedule poses. But we think we're in a good footing for a September implementation of this plan. So Megan and I and Steve and Jen, if I can put them on the spot, would take any questions that the board might have at this time. And John, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you for, I know this couldn't, I can't imagine the work that had to go into putting this together and envisioning it. I was just curious, after this gets launched in September, is there a plan to like regroup and, I mean, for pieces that might be, you know, to discover what's working great and what's really not and what needs to be adjusted if possible?
It's an excellent question. So one of the feedbacks that came through forum was, hey, could we try this for 2 weeks? Or could we try it for 20 weeks? And we made a commitment to an entire school year, however, with benchmarks built in at the quarters to solicit that feedback. You can't really tell if this is working and working well for our school community until we have gone through the cadence of 4 quarters, 2 semesters, and really work through the seasons of the school year to see, all right, what are we losing by this and what are we gaining by this? So that definitely is our commitment next year, Marianne.
Good question.
So the flex time, did you talk about that? Did I miss that? I'm sorry.
No, we did not talk about that. So as you know, that one of our other district initiatives is MTSS.
Okay.
And what flex time will allow is time for those interventions to occur. One of the issues that we have right now is students, don't always know at the beginning of the year who will need services and supports at which point in the year. And so their schedules are built, and then we have a hard time finding ways to provide those supports in their schedules. So this flex time allows us at any time of the year to provide supports to anyone. It also is a time where we can provide enrichment to students as well. And we're spending a lot of time in HODS this year talking about what that flex will look like for students and for our staff.
So the flex time's not rotating, it's always that period?
Correct, and that's only 30 minutes.
One of the best and easiest and quickest ways to understand that flex time is the win time at the elementary school and how the entire school gets what they need during a structured time built into the daily day.
That was my question. Thank you, Rosemary. Yeah.
So I just want to thank Fran and Megan for their leadership on this. It's been something that certainly as we've been navigating with declining enrollment, there's lots of things that come up over the last few years, listening to our teachers, listening to our students, looking at ways in which we can enhance the schedule. And I was just refreshing myself on the process, and the process was really sound, and working with our teachers and coming back to the goals of, I was looking at them again, just about, ensuring a student-centered learning environment that's engaging. Number 2, teacher effectiveness and collaboration. That's something that this schedule does build in, which really is difficult right now, that opportunity for teacher collaboration during the day. Number 3, continuing to have academic rigor and post-secondary preparation. That was a hallmark of this work. And then lastly, as was spoken to, ensuring special education and support service integration continues with enhancements to the intervention opportunities for students. So, doing a master schedule review is a seismic thing for a school district. And there's just been a lot of collaboration, and it's proud. I feel proud, and I know a lot of those who are involved do. And we certainly, I think somebody asked, there will be opportunities for reflection as we get into next year. We've started to talk about that already. So, but we want to live it. a while.
I think one of the biggest things people ask is, Fran, why now? Well, the schedule that we have was built on 600 kids, an enrollment of 600 students. We're 280. So it's an opportunity for us to really look at our enrollment and right-size our schedule to meet the needs of our students. Additionally, it was not sustainable. The days of having 7th grade teachers in this cluster teaching just 7th grade, and we could make a unique schedule just for them without impacting the rest of the building are over. Our 7th grade teacher teaches also 10th grade and 12th grade. So that traditional schedule was no longer serving the needs of also our staff and their ability to continue the unique programming and lessons on a daily basis. This opens up more opportunities for our staff to collaborate, to have time planning, but also not compromise the opportunities for our students.
I just wanted to say, I really appreciate, especially for a project of this import. Thank you for using this keeping shared decision-making alive in collaborative processes, and also for keeping the eye and the vision on our goals and what our foundational compass points are. So important. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate the creativity because we are a small school, but we want those big school opportunities, and we have to be really creative to do that because we're getting smaller. And so thank you for your creativity and what Mary Ann had said. Anybody else?
I guess one quick question. Is the total instructional time relatively the same between the blocks and the days?
I don't
Slightly
remember
less.
the exact numbers. It was, I think we,
Instructional time for the state purposes is more.
What about for the students?
I think when you did the
It-
side by side.
the last calculation, I think it was slightly less.
It
But
was
I think it
slightly
was,
less.
it was something, if I'm remembering correctly, something like 50 minutes less for the entire school year.
Was that
Is that right?
53 minutes for a class, for a block time. There was, within the classes, there was about a 1-period reduction over the course of the year. But that doesn't take into account the flex period,
Right.
which is counted as an additional instructional time.
Which is what you're talking about. Yeah. So we gained on the overall instructional time that the state requires Lake George schools to submit for secondary and primary education, which is our 180-day count, right, John? Right. So we gained in that area. But in terms of the unique course, over 180 days, there was that slight reduction. So this summer, we're going to spend a lot of time with staff on professional development. Megan has a whole component of support for folks to take their 40-minute classes and modify it and enhance it to 53 minutes. Because what we don't want is a 40-minute lesson and 13 minutes of homework. Because then what are we doing? So this summer, a good number of our staff will be working to enhance their lessons to fit this new schedule. So digest it, think about it. Any questions you might have, send it to John. He'll get it to the team here. But our plan is to talk to the student body tomorrow and then start to really go public with the wider parent community about this plan for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And Fran, before you leave, I just want to thank you for all the work you did for Sauga City. It was tremendous, a tremendous experience. Thank you to the folks who hosted, our families, some of our board members, your family. And my interactions made me laugh, made me cry, made me smile in all good ways. And so thank you very much for the tremendous work and leadership you did for that.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. And right now, we turn the page and we're planning our visit to them next July. We currently have 13 of the 20 students already committed to going.
Wow, that's great.
So we're waiting to hear from a few more, but I appreciate
Yeah.
yes,
Thank you.
it was a tremendous visit and a lot of fun. I could not translate into Japanese why the plow trucks came out for the send-off that morning. It was the fire trucks and the plow trucks, which was kind of fun, and drumline, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Yeah, thank you. The next item on our agenda is our student board member report with Annie Fish and Libby Pate.
It's been a really busy month for us so far, but we have prom coming up, which will be on the 25th, so next weekend, so lots of planning, especially with our class because they're the juniors. We're currently in discussions for where the coronation will be. We have a class meeting this week to talk about that, but we're hoping to get that information out soon. So if you guys want to see us in pretty dresses, you're more than welcome.
Another great thing that's happening, or has happened, is Tri-M, our Music Honor Society group, took a trip after school to the elementary school and sat in on their band rehearsals and their chorus rehearsals, which was a great experience. I made lots of new little friends, and I'm so excited to see them up here.
Also in music news, we have our senior high and junior high chorus and band concerts coming up. A week from today, on the 21st, will be the senior high concert, and then on the 28th will be junior high. So we'd love to see you there. We singing our hearts out. Then just also wanted to mention on Saga City, from a student perspective, it was just really, really amazing. Me and Annie both had students in our houses, and it was just such a cool experience. And for student council, we also had an assembly for that, which is super fun to see so many people got involved at that assembly. Honestly, probably record-breaking. We did dodgeball with basically the whole school, and it was so fun to have everyone involved. And then also in student council news, we have our elections on May 6th. I will be running for a student council position, and then me and Annie will also be running for this position again, so hopefully we'll see you again next year.
The next thing we have on here is, I know a couple meetings ago, I mentioned that we were talking with a Saratoga student board member. Her name's Olivia Howe, and we emailed her. She emailed me asking about how we get our students involved in like activities, like for example the pep rally and everything that Libby just talked about. And I responded to her saying that we use a lot of social media, like the Lake George CSD Instagram page, and I know Student Council also has a TikTok page that we posted on for the fall pep rally themes for Spirit Week. And we also have very fun and engaging announcements in the morning and afternoon. I know we just had one, was it this morning?
Yes.
We had one this morning for prom tickets. It was very engaging.
I'm known on the announcements here. And then also for more board development, we talked with Mr. Kuhoza and Mr. Luthringer about the culture and climate survey that we do yearly here, and about how me and Annie might be able to look at some of the data that comes out of that to come up with some actions that we could hopefully move towards. Yeah.
And we also just wanted to mention that me and Libby are both in personal finance, which is a great class. And we are number 1 out of 58 schools, and everyone in that class is very excited.
For our budget
Yeah.
challenge that we mentioned last time. But, yeah, very exciting.
I think it's all set. Thank you. Well, and I love the report on your conversation with the Saratoga student. That's great that you're sharing ideas with each other. I love that. And the being part of the culture and climate. That's awesome. Anybody else have anything? Thank you. The next report is our superintendent report with Mr. John Luthringer, our superintendent.
Thank you, Katie. Just want to take a quick second here and echo all the sentiments and thank yous around Saga City. It was my first experience hosting in Lake George, and it was truly remarkable. I wanted to give a big thank you to both Jim and Fran for the work at their buildings, but in particular Fran, I mean, his organization and leadership and really made this a truly memorable experience for all of everybody involved. I was commenting to our students, it was very emotional at the end when everyone was leaving. It was, people were, including myself, just getting choked up watching the connections that were made. So while it happens once every 8 years, and it's a big lift, and certainly a big thanks to our teachers for their efforts in supporting it, it is really something that's special. And we certainly look forward to sending our students to Japan, and then them returning with a whole renewed sense of experience that they'll have, and then also rehosting again when our time comes. So. It was really just a great event, but a lot truly goes into it. We've been really planning for the better part of a year to make sure it went off without a hitch, and it really did. So I want to just give a big thank you again to those that played a big role in it, including Millie Co. I want to give Millie Co. a shout out. As Libby and Annie mentioned, we do have our school culture and climate survey that's sent out wide. It's sent out at this time of year to all of our parents, students, and staff. So we encourage everybody to participate in that. It's really helpful to us to take a look at and kind of get a pulse on things. And we're excited this time to be able to include our student board members in those conversations. So just be on the lookout for that. If you haven't seen it, it was sent out on Monday. We do have our elementary principal hiring process going on as well. So just this Friday that continues. We have 3 candidates moving forward to the elementary school to participate in the committee rounds of parents, students, and our faculty and staff group. So we really look forward to welcoming these candidates to our school and getting feedback from those committees on Friday. So that'll be a really productive day. We also, at this time of year, it's always great. I love spring. Everything starts to get flowing again, and it starts to get busy in Lake George. All the people are returning, and it's just kind of exciting. But it's also a good reminder at this time of year about safety. And at this time of year, we were awarded. This is actually we've been awarded this many years in a row, but the Utica National School Safety Excellence Award here, the titanium level here. And I just want to talk about this for a second because it is really timely and important. We're just one of 157 school districts and BOCES across New York State to receive this, the School Safety Excellence Award with titanium with honors level. The honor is presented annually and recognizes school districts' safety efforts as they work to help keep students, staff, and visitors safe. Utica National Safety Excellence Program has 3 levels, as I've said before: titanium, platinum, and gold. And schools can earn a distinction by meeting specific criteria to enhance overall safety. And that's really what this recognizes. There's a lot that goes into this every single year, just from our, not only from our school resource officers, but the work of our principals and Bonnie and our teachers and staff and our students for keeping us all safe. That's really what's most important, is we all work together to ensure our students come to a safe school environment. And this just recognizes that. So it's nice to receive an honor. It's also nice at this time of year to bring safety to the forefront as things start to pick up in the village and things become more active. So just, another proud moment for Lake George, and there's a lot of people that help make this come to fruition each year. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And then lastly here, it's an exciting time of year as well, as our VEX Robotics teams are heading off to Worlds next year. And I know I saw Mr. Strobel come in at some point, so he will be taking our team off to St. Louis this year. So it's a new location. And we wish them all the best, and certainly they will have a very rewarding experience, and I'm sure learn a lot and engage in a lot of different collaborations with teams from all over the world. So we wish them all the best next week. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, John. The next section is board committee reports, and our board does a lot of work in committee. These meetings are open to the public, and it allows the board to give the items that we discuss the time and attention that they deserve. So the first committee report is our Audit and Finance Committee report, and Mario Fasulo will give that. He's the chair of that committee.
Thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
We reviewed the treasurer's report for February. We received revenue in the amount of $487,000. That was for homeless aid. We talked about the process and the requirements of getting the district that aid for any displaced students. That dollar amount can vary. It's not something that we budget every year to year. A couple students here and there really make that dollar amount fluctuate, so it's not something we ever plan on. We also reviewed the claims auditors report. There was nothing noteworthy or outstanding on there. Those are items A and C on the school business consent agenda. Then we talked about Article 7, which is property owner can challenge the assessed value of their property for tax purposes. So in this matter, the Board of Ed approval is being sought to negotiate a settlement of a claim. The maximum potential liability associated with the case is estimated to be about $20,000. And that's in addition to any legal fees and interest. The proposed settlement resolves the claim for a total of $4,000, really limiting our exposure and avoiding any other litigation costs. We reviewed the details and we recommend the board approval for this. We also reviewed 2 annual policies, 5410, which is purchasing, and 5220, district investments. We didn't have any recommendations, or the business office didn't have any changes or recommendations on these policies. We reviewed the BOCES 26-27 admin budget and the fiscal plan, which we will need Board of Ed approval on for, which we plan on doing on April 21st. With the BOCES project, there's very little money in that budget for substantial building improvements or existing buildings, other than they have a similar situation to what we had at the garage with leaky roof and electrical repairs that have to be replaced on an existing building. We reviewed, Bonnie spoke about it a little bit during her presentation, but we reviewed a pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes, and that came through a law, RPTL 487 law. Typically, our pilots come through the IDA. This came through a different avenue. One of our attorneys, Chris Langolis, collaborated with the other council and guided our district with a proposal. This solar project is very different. It really has 4 jurisdictions. It has the town of Lake George, the town of Queensbury, Lake George Central School District, and the Queensbury Central School District. The 2 parcels that the project is on is 43% of the school district, Lake George School District, and the remaining 57 is in Queensbury. So the proposed payment is for 15 years with a 2% increase every year. Chris again estimated that the full assessed value to be around $632,000 when that pilot rolls off and it's added to the tax rolls. All in all, we all believe that this is a fair pilot. This will be item P on the consent agenda. We recommend moving forward with it once we get to the vote. And that's all we reviewed.
Thank you, Maury. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. The next committee report is the Building and Grounds Committee report, and Mike Fish, who's a member of that committee, will give us that report.
Thanks, Katie. The Building and Grounds Committee met prior to the last board meeting on March 10th. I'll share a few highlights from that committee meeting. First was a very in-depth presentation from our project managers and construction team from Schoolhouse Construction, along with our architect from Tetra Tech, regarding the new transportation facility and all the updates there. Provided a thorough progress report on the facility, including updated photos of the work underway. And I know John has been sharing with the team here photos and progress throughout the whole project. So we all know the challenging winter and the conditions we had this winter, and the project continues to remain on schedule, which is remarkable, for completion by July 1st, much due to the flexibility and coordination among the contractors and their subcontractors. Tetra Tech also has completed the design for an additional pathway that will connect the facility to the athletic fields down to the track. We saw some renderings at the Building Grounds Committee. It's a really cool design. Some nice seating will be built in, and some tiers with a serpentine pathway that leads down to the track. And so that'll be nice when that's complete. It'll open up some nice seating up there, and obviously some additional much-needed parking will be included up there as well. And the pricing for this work will be coming in the near future, and it's anticipated to fall within the allowances and the contingency funds that were set aside for this project. So overall, the project continues to remain under budget, which will help inform the planning and budgeting for future capital projects. So quite remarkable on the transportation facility, the new bus garage. It's on time considering the winter we had, and it's under budget. Usually projects of that size are pretty in not following those two things. But next update on the capital outlay update. If anyone has seen the scaffolding on the roof of the building here and out front for the cupola on top of the building, the work includes removing and replacing all the damaged and deteriorating siding, trim, beadboard, and flashing with materials that match the existing structure. Repairs to include new exterior grade sheathing, weatherproof underlayment, copper flashing, and stainless steel fasteners. This project is anticipated to be finished by mid-June. And just from personal experience, when I got my tour last July with Fran, I got a chance to go up there and look at the cupola, and it was duct taped and band-aided together with lead cords, plug-in lights, and so it was much overdue, and it's going to be beautiful when it's done. And the last update from Building and Grounds is capital project planning, future capital project planning. The committee reviewed future capital planning, including in-house maintenance and facility upgrades. One example would be some of the heating and cooling vents in the walls that are outdated and at end of life that need to be replaced. Annual infrastructure capital outlay projects with an estimated scope of approximately $250,000, and a larger scale project of about $7.5 million, focused on infrastructure improvements and enhancements to learning environments. And there'll be many more details coming in the coming months regarding this future planning. That's the update.
Thank you, Mike. A lot of exciting news. That's good news. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay. The next committee report is the Culture and Climate Committee report. Jeff Meyer chairs that committee and will give us that report.
All right, thank you, Katie. The report was buried in the agenda and in the minutes, so feel free to kind of dig in if there are any kind of more specific questions. It was our first meeting of the school year, so kind of per custom, we went through the committee charter and kind of really discussed how best to live the CREATE values that guide Lake George, and making sure that to the extent that we can, and we know, that the culture and climate of the school and the community is in line with those values. The larger discussion was really kind of discussing the process for that culture and climate survey that is about to be released, and kind of getting ready to meet again once the results are in and the data is processed, kind of to make sure that the culture and climate of the school district is what we think it to be, and that to the extent that the student body and the staff and the families in and around the district essentially are meeting expectations, and that we are kind of living out those CREATE values that we hope to impart on our students. The other item we discussed, which has been kind of discussed here previously, was the Regional Student Summit. The meeting happened shortly after that summit in the prior board meeting, so we kind of went through the summit, how it has grown in size with all 25 districts present, and how the topic of building a sense of belonging and uniting against hate, and how it manifests itself within our district, what other districts are doing well, where they hope to improve, what Lake George is doing well, where we hope to improve, and really just kind of fostering that greater community and the continued values. So our next meeting will be in May once we have all that data, and we'll certainly be able to provide more. But that's our report for tonight.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the good work in that important topic. Anybody else have any questions, comments? The final committee report is the Policy Committee report. Mary Ann McKenzie chairs that committee and will give us that report.
Okay, thank you, Katie. So this evening, there are 4 policies moving forward to second read. Each of those were discussed at last month's board meeting. But take note that one of those policies 1620, which is the annual organization meeting of the Board of Education. Because that policy is moving forward to second read tonight, upon adoption, we are recommending to retire one policy, which is 1621. That is the agenda of the annual organization meeting, and we're recommending that that gets retired because it's been absorbed into the policy moving to second read 1620. We have got two policies moving forward to first read this evening. One of them is 3230, use of assistant animals. The policy committee reviewed this per our routine manual review, and there was just one minor suggested revision to clarify responsibilities of animal handlers when they're on school grounds with their animals. The other one is that's moving to first read, is 7513, medication and personal care items. And this policy was reviewed by the committee by way of an Erie One BOCES policy update that came to us in response to amendments to public health law and ed law to expand the definition of epinephrine devices to include epinephrine nasal sprays. So this amendment replaced the term epinephrine auto-injector with epinephrine device throughout the policy. And in addition to that, the policy committee is suggesting removing all references to the stocking of albuterol and rescue inhaler treatment devices because the district does not stock these items. A district may stock them, but we're not mandated to, and we don't. And in addition to that, the policy committee reviewed 5 other policies, and per our routine manual review process, and each of those 5 are listed under reviewed, no recommended changes, and you can see them listed in the agenda. Each of those policies will receive an updated date of review. And I just want to point out that there are a couple policies on moving forward tonight that have to do with medication or student health issues. And I can see Carrie Becker's out in the audience tonight. And Carrie Becker and Faith Helms, our school nurses, both contributed to the policy reviews, as they usually do when there's health-related policies, and other people do too. I see Steve Price is in the audience tonight and who has participated. At times, district professionals are asked to assist with our policy review because their expertise in their field is so valuable. And so I just want to say thank you to those individuals and make note of it. So thank you. That's my report. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Do we have any, Sarah? The next agenda item is the first of 2 public comment periods. This one is for items that are on the agenda, and Sarah has indicated to me that no one has signed up for this public comment period. We have sign-up sheets so that we can be organized for our public comments, and it allows us to have the information of who's coming up, and it allows us to get back to folks more efficiently. If you did not have an opportunity to sign up, but you have a public comment, you're still welcome to make a public comment. And if you're joining us online, you can email the board at boe@lkgeorge.org, and the board and superintendent will get that email, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Was there anybody who had a public comment that didn't have a chance to sign up? Okay. And we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is our school business, and the school business consent agenda is the first item, and I'll turn that over to John.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the school business consent agenda items A through P. In summary, item A is a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Item B is recommendations on special education. Item C and D reference the Treasurers and Claims Auditors Report. Item E is the date for the reorganizational meeting of the board in July. Item F is to motion to appoint Katie Bruning as the permanent chairperson of the annual meeting, along with the inspector of elections in regards to our upcoming board election and budget vote. Item G is a motion regarding the policies moving to second read. Item H is a motion to rescind or delete the following policy that was mentioned by Mary Ann. Items I, J, K, L are in reference to existing mergers for our athletics, and they require annual review or annual approval. Item M is a motion for us, for the district to engage in a cooperative purchasing program for the commodities as presented. Item N is a motion to authorize a budget transfer. Item O is a motion to accept the proposal for architectural services from Tetra Tech for pre-referendum services that was shared at our last meeting as part of the presentation. And item P is a motion to approve the payment in lieu of taxes agreement for solar energy systems.
Thank you for that summary, John. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Do we have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next agenda item is the action to approve real property tax law, Article 7.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the settlement of the 2024 and 2025 real property tax law, Article 7 proceedings as presented.
Do you have a motion? Second.
I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Jeff? Thank you. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the action to approve the proposed 2026-2027 school year budget that Bonnie spoke to us about tonight and in previous months.
As recommended by the superintendent, be resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the proposed budget for the 26-27 school year in the amount of $26,708,960, and that this proposed budget is presented to the voters of the district to be voted upon at the annual meeting on May 19th, 2026, during the hours of 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Lake George Central School Elementary School Gymnasium.
Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the action to approve the property tax report card.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the property tax report card for the 26-27 school year.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the 2026 School Safety Excellence.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby accepts a check from Utica National Insurance Group in the amount of $500 as an award for the 2026 School Safety Excellence Program.
Do you have a motion? Any questions? Any discussion? Thank you to all the great work that led to being awarded that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next section of the meeting is faculty staff recognitions, and we will start with faculty staff appointments.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff appointment consent agenda items A through F. In summary, item A is a motion to appoint Jeremy Kaiser to the probationary appointment of groundskeeper cleaner. Item B is a motion to amend a previous motion of the appointment of Jessica Benjamin to a long-term substitute teaching assistant as presented. Item C is a motion to approve the appointment of Mary Monahan as a long-term substitute special education teacher. Item D is a motion to amend the coaches and volunteer coaches list. Item E is a motion to amend the curriculum list. And item F is a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Lake George Central School District and the Lake George Education Association.
Do we have a motion? Any second? Thank you, Rosemary. Do we have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the faculty staff resignation consent agenda retirement.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District, for the purposes of retirement, hereby accepts the resignation of Gail Civica from the position of teacher aide greeter in the non-competitive class of civil service.
Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
Do we have a second? And I'm sure these were reluctant motions and seconds.
Yes.
Gail will be very significantly missed. Thank you for all the years of service to us, Gail. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the tenure recommendations.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the following faculty staff recommendations for tenure and effective dates in the respective tenure areas. Zoe Chodak, school counselor, Tori Coddington, school social worker, Michelle DeMarche, elementary teacher, Emily Corsetti, special education teacher, Cody Stinson, social studies, Summer Steves, teaching assistant. They're all present here tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, yes, thank
Oh,
you.
sorry. Before the motion.
Congratulations and thank you for being with us this evening as we take our vote here. So do we have a motion? Okay, second. Any questions, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Again, congratulations. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all the wonderful work you do in our district. And please come back to more meetings. We love having you here. The next item on our agenda is Board of Education comments and discussion. Does anybody have any items? Rosemary, did you raise your hand? You got an item? Okay.
I just have a question. Under the policy, the use of assistant animals, I didn't know we allowed miniature horses. Is that something that, I mean, I didn't know. It's something that, maybe I'm in the dark ages or something. It says it in our policy.
Well, so it is outlined in the policy.
Yeah.
I don't think we've experienced that yet, but
Do we have to allow that as something? I don't know. I'm just asking.
yeah, I think anytime we're considering a therapy animal, that's something we would certainly take a hard look at and make sure it's, is it meeting the needs of the students? Is it appropriate for coming into the school? What does that even look like? I know that commonly they are a dog, but I have seen, and I know in particular at our BOCES with our horse care program, our students
Yeah.
do work closely with horses.
Sure.
So I think we would have to, certainly take a look at how that would best meet the needs of our kids. But it's not something we've come across yet at this time. Yes.
Do we want to have that in our policy? That's my
Well,
question.
That's a good, it didn't come up and it didn't register with us as we were reviewing it, but certainly something that
I could
the committee
see
could take a look
how that
at, but.
could be very difficult, especially in this building. I don't know about the elementary school.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was
It was, yeah. No, it wasn't. That was part of our routine review this time.
Anyway, it's just my question, that's all. I mean, that's all.
Well, I would
I'm not
ask,
totally against it. I'm
no, I was
just-
going to say, if you have thoughts about why that would be a problem, think about it and then, let's talk about it and we'll bring it back to the policy committee for discussion. I mean, it's unique, but, if it would be problematic, we should talk about it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Martin.
The only thing I want to say is, when we reviewed the tenure decks last month, I believe it was, there was some incredibly impressive stuff on there. And this is a great group, and it was just very impressive to see all the work that they've done and all the things they've accomplished and what they bring to the table to our school. So it's exciting to see how that will grow down the road. It was great.
Thank you. Anybody else? John and I, a couple weeks ago, went to the annual BOCES budget presentation, and that's what we're going to be voting on next Tuesday at our morning special board meeting in the morning. And Mario mentioned this a little bit in terms of the how they're being careful with what they're spending on their current buildings and really looking toward the future buildings. So, and John shared with us the details of that presentation that we're going to be voting on. The thing that is especially wonderful that evening of the presentation is it's followed by a dinner that is prepared by the BOCES students from schools all around, not only just our 31 component schools, students who don't have the opportunity for whatever reason in their own BOCES are part of the evening, and they make appetizers, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to other board members and superintendents from around the region, which is a really nice time while we're eating really amazing food. And then we have a sit-down dinner, and the students are the servers for the evening, and we get to hear from the students, and we were very fortunate. We got extra students at our table, so John and I got to chat with 3 students one from Lake George,
Yep.
one from Mechanicville, and one from Corinth.
Yes, Corinth.
Corinth. Wait a minute.
Corinth.
Corinth. If you're from
Yeah,
Corinth, you
you
say
say-
Corinth, right?
But we got this, yeah, I'll give John Vastardis
Yes.
a shout out as a Lake George student. He sat with us. He's part of the heavy equipment program, and just a really interesting student to engage with during dinner. So it's a really great opportunity for any board members in the future to attend, because we do get to engage and sit and learn about students and participate in our CTE programming. And John is a really exciting kid, and it does speak to the power of trades and the importance of trades, as John spoke about how he has 3 job offers, already, lucrative opportunities here from what he's learning, not only within the walls of Lake George, but then also getting the hands-on experience that he's getting as part of his program. So it is a really great event, and it happens every year. So we'll make sure if any board members are interested in going, as many are welcome as want to attend.
I highly recommend it. And the students, they design the program for the night. There's an award given to a local person in business who creates opportunities for our students regionally to learn, to be mentored, and they're very committed to the workforce development. So it's just a great night to see all the cool stuff that we're doing in our region for our students, and how wonderful our BOCES programs are, and a way to celebrate the students is a culminating event. Even our flower arrangements were made by the students. So we were greeted by students. Yeah. So really, just from start to finish of the evening, the students were on display, and it was a great night. So it made me feel really positive about our BOCES budget vote next week. So do we have anything else from anybody for board discussion?
I just wanted to mention the Lake George Scholarship Association is hosting their 35th scholarship cruise on May 1st. They're doing that a little differently this year with an hour cruise on the Hurricane, and then we'll have the silent auction and the jazz band and everything in the building, the Lighthouse Grill. And so we have tickets available at both schools, at the main office at the elementary school and the guidance office at the high school. And I also have tickets, so anyone wants to join us, we do great things for our students for scholarships. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. It's a fun night. I've been many times. Anybody else? Okay. The next item is our second of our 2 public comment periods. And Sarah, did we have anybody signed up for that? Same as what I said for the first one. If there's anybody that wanted to make a comment that didn't have a chance to sign up, you're welcome. Okay. Seeing no one, we'll move to the next item on our agenda is proposed executive session. The Board of Education of Lake George Central School District proposes entering into an executive session for discussions on pending litigation. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Any questions, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstaining? Motion carries. We do not anticipate taking any action after the executive session. Thank you again for being here this evening.